Hi, my name is Peter Gudzinski. I'm the product manager at MaxScheduler. Today I'm going to give a demo of MaxScheduler Web Basic and the configuration options. So this is the opening screen. All users require user ID and password to use the system. This is for security. So I'll go to the scheduling screen just as the basics about the product itself. This is scheduling, the main screen of the software. This is where most users spend their time. The top part is the schedule. Columns represent resources. Rows represent time. The area at the bottom are jobs to be scheduled. You could drag and drop jobs onto the board. That colored block represents a scheduled job. Okay, so let's get into configurations. There basically are a number of screens. They're shown here along this blue row. The first concept is called sites. And sites is the concept of, say you're an organization that has multiple, say, factories. You want to have separate schedules between the factories, but then also you want information to be shared, or a manager to be able to see the schedules between those different factories. So you could do that with a concept of sites. You can just add a new site and have a number of them. And then on the scheduling screen, there'd be a drop down. Right now you just see one option. There'd be multiple sites available there. So some options under sites, you could define the row time increment, how wide the date time column is, default job length if you don't have a duration, scheduled job delimiter. That is kind of how information is displayed on the scheduled jobs. Right now we're just using a bar to separate data. You can use a carriage return. Unique attribute to data import. Here, that's a way for when you're importing data, say from another system, and you want to help with synchronization, you can turn on this attribute feature, this unique attribute feature, and use, say, a number, and then if MaxScheduler sees that number again, it will not import that data. Thus, you won't have this problem of importing the same job multiple times. Let's go to the next screen as resources. The resources, those are things you schedule against. Those become the columns of the spreadsheet. So, or sorry, the columns of the schedule. So if we see machine 1, let's go back to the scheduling screen. Machine 1 here. So that's how these match up. You can click edit to change the information. Some of our customers have a lot of resources. So what you don't want to try to shove them all onto one screen, because it just becomes difficult to read that much information. So you can break them into groups. For example, you may want to naturally break them into departments. Our kind of grouping of resources is called boards. So here we have all the resources are assigned to board 1, but we have 2 boards here. And then on the main scheduling screen, there's a switch. You can toggle between the different boards quite easily. The next thing is attributes. The attributes, those are the best way to think about those are kind of, if you import data from another system, those are the columns of your spreadsheet. And when you look at MaxScheduler, those become the columns of the list view at the bottom. And so you define, like MaxScheduler doesn't make any assumptions about the data. We don't have any minimums. Or minimum data requirements, so you could basically import whatever data you want. We do have some special, some of the attribute names are special. You get special features out of them. For example, color. A job, when it's scheduled on the screen, will take on that color. Duration, the job will scale according to that duration. The basis is hours. And then due date, we have a due date feature, which is if there's a due date here and the job is scheduled, if the job is late, this red D will highlight, and you can read what jobs will be late. We also have some options here, schedule label prefix and suffix. It allows you to format the data. If you look at this scheduling screen, you can see this number here is highlighted in blue, and there's also a prefix, just static information here, JB. And that type of formatting is done with this suffix and prefix and suffix information. That's a little tricky HTML. If you have some questions, we can help you set up that up. Drop-down lists. In the case where, actually I'll go to just show that within MaxScheduler. Here we have some statuses, And by default, most of the information in MaxScheduler is just text information. But if you're kind of picking the same value multiple times, you may want to drop down. So you can do that with that drop down list area. And another special little thing is that you can assign colors. If you see here, we have green, red, magenta. You can assign colors for these drop down list values. And this kind of comes across, we think, is a kind of a neat feature. If you're tracking status information, you have these colors. Say you have 200 jobs, you're tracking 200 jobs, and you just want to look for colors that are like red because those jobs need attention. You can quickly identify those out of a field of 200 jobs. Yeah, it's one of our customers paid to have that feature added. We thought it's a neat addition. Color status. The idea here. Let me go to the scheduling screen again. By default, the colors label is the same as the color, so red means red. But if in your business you want to have a color of a job represent an actual some type of job status, you could replace that wording. So for example, the color yellow here is replaced with the word warning. For white, it's go, and that's set up through the color status screen. Import filter, that's about filtering out data when you import it. Operation hours. If your facility is not 24 hours a day, you want to just have the schedule represent, say, 9 to 5. That's where you configure this. Just a quick overview of some other stuff. This is where you import data. The job screen is kind of like a database view of the schedule. This allows people to kind of, and there's a search filter feature here. So let's go 03. You can look for the status of a job. This is kind of good for, like, say, CSRs or salespeople who want to know specifically the status of a job. They could see, hey, this job is not scheduled. This one is. Here's the date and time. Job change log. Another way to think of that is search for the guilty. So this is an overview of our kind of configuration options within MaxScheduler. Thank you for your time.